Hey, g'day everybody, and welcome to the next part in the series on how to basically build your own server and work with the grid editor. In this particular one, I am looking at how you use some of the new content. And so this is the transient node and the static nodes that they put in the game. Currently they have the army of the damn stuff, and then they're looking at putting in the industrial content, and potentially in the future maybe we'll see the Atlantean content. And what this is that the transient node has the cursed bone chips, and the static node has, basically it's a cursed altar, is what it is in game, and the cursed altar gives you the cursed wood. And from each of these you can then build the cursed smithy, and from there you can build various different temples, temple studies, which gives you buffs, towers and totems and all kinds of stuff. And so if you're interested in adding that content to your server, I will need to open up a different map here. We will just grab the original latest, and here what we're actually looking to do is you need to actually have a look at the islands themselves, and on the islands down the bottom there is an override land nodes template, and in there you'll have the various different items. Blank means nothing. Test template is something that Grapeshot is using themselves and doesn't actually do anything of interest, whereas AOTD, Army of the Damned, and that will add a transient node to the island. And so it'll basically have those little green fireflies, sickly green cloud, where you can place down the gravedigger and you can then harvest the bone chips. The industrial is obviously the next one that's yet to be released, as of talking in this video. They're putting in the industrial content into the game, where you'll basically find I can't remember what they're called now. It was some kind of a geyser or a geothermal vent. And you could put down a specific mine, which would actually then give you the resource there. But yeah, so if you wanted to add the industrial one, you would choose that. If you wanted to have the Army of the Damned, you'd choose that one. Just editing this one in, as I forgot to do it when I initially passed through. And I was talking about having the override land node in the island settings, but you also need to actually add in the node templates. And so you'll need this AOTD node template and the industrial at the very least. There's not really much in there. Pretty much you got the INDT1, group 1, weight 1, and then you can have a look at the Army of the Damned, again, AOTD1, group 0, weight 1. That's all you need to have in there. That will then allow it to actually appear in the drop down list so that you can select it, and then the system will recognize it and put them into the game for you. And that's what you're doing with the nodes. Alright, continuing on. From here, if we then need to know what islands actually have the things on there, and so there's a quite an interesting website. It is run by one of the players as opposed to Grapeshot themselves, antihacks.net or atlas.antihacks.net, and on this you'll actually see these little red dots. These little red dots actually represent the static nodes, so the cursed altars, and this will probably also mean like the geothermal vents down in the uncharted region, so there's actually a couple of spots there. I put them all together into a big list, and so I will probably pop all of those down into the description of the video so that you actually know what the island codes are. But if you're actually on official, you'll be able to utilize something like this so that you can actually find a particular island in a particular grid, and you'll be able to go and then visit that cursed altar so you can have a look to see if you can get some cursed wood. Otherwise, it's a bit hard to tell from here whether or not you're going to get the cursed chips, because most of these islands are going to have the transient nodes, but you won't know for sure. Obviously, if you have the editor, you could come in and you could basically have a look and see if there's a particular island that might actually have it. Whether it's even actually set on this particular one, I don't know. Let's actually visit my island here, and yeah, it's set as AOTD. And so I'm on the PvE server here at E6, and our island does get a transient node. To prove at least one of them, what I did is I basically went, okay, well, look, this KFTR, it's actually one that was in the Freeport area. So if we go up in, not Freeport, the Rookie Cove area. So if we zoom in here, it's actually saying that this one actually has one. So that's the KFTR. So I put that into the single player environment, made myself, you have to make an 8x8 grid. But I put a single island in my 8x8 grid, and the spawn region that you get, we have the KFTR here, and it actually comes with a cursed altar. This is one variant of the cursed altar. There's one that looks a little bit more Aztec, and that's available as well. But this is what I have found so far. As I said, I'll put down a list of all the islands that I believe altars and stuff should actually exist. And you can basically work with them, at least as a first pass, and maybe as more detail actually comes out. We'll actually see if there's more islands that we can actually identify to put into that concrete list, which would be pretty handy. But that seems to be how you enable the new content for your server. Anyway, let's just have a look and see if this is even spawning anything. It's not at the moment anyway. But yeah, sometimes it actually takes a while. This is single player, so I'd actually have it paused. And so it probably hasn't actually had long enough to spawn any items. So I wasn't able to get single player to work, but I did get a little clip of a turtle making noise at 10 times speed. So I just made a 1x1 grid, spawned it up on my computer, and there we are. Now I have to actually type cheat in front of everything, because I've allowed myself the cheats. And now we basically just chuck the slow-mo on and see if any resources spawn over time. Well, we're in luck in that the fireflies are here. So this is the transient node. We should be able to place a gravedigger here, although I probably need to give my character a little bit of XP and spec into things. We need piracy. Done. We want knowledge of the old ones. Done. And that will give us the gravedigger. Apparently I was wrong. That's right. I'll just edit that out later. And we get ourselves a gravedigger. There's our fireflies. Plonk. Alright. Alright, we'll leave that for a little bit. I'm back, and some cursed bone chips have actually spawned in. Nice. So that took a while. Obviously went off for a little bit, came back. Let's go check if the cursed wood has started spawning. No, it hasn't. Alright, so I'm not quite sure what happened in the sequence of events, but I might as well explain what I did. I had slow-mo going long enough that my hair on my character there is actually starting to get quite long. And there was no cursed wood actually happening at all. So I logged out. I recreated my 1x1 grid to have MNTGCH, which actually has the Aztec altar on, thinking that maybe the altar over there would actually be one to spawn the cursed wood. But then I came back in and the cursed wood was actually spawning here on this bone altar. And so I wonder if the first initiation of the islands maybe doesn't actually get the cursed wood to actually begin. Not entirely certain, but once I had both islands in, it did start, or it could just be that I restarted the server that the cursed wood decided that it actually wanted to start. But you know, take that with what you will. And so there's some things that you have up your sleeve if you're trying to get the cursed wood to actually work. Anyway, that is how I managed to get transient nodes and cursed altars actually in the game, so that I'm actually now generating the armies of the damned themed stuff on my private server, and you can use that too. And obviously you can change that to the industrial stuff as well, and maybe in the future Atlantean if they put it in, like they said they were going to. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think down in the comments, what you may have experienced. And yeah, catch you in the next one. Obviously I need to keep outfitting some of this stuff and actually try and get a fully kitted out server, and we'll go from there. I know that I need to work on spawns next. So getting things like squids, mean whale, gentle whale, so like the monstrous blue whales and the monstrous sperm whales into the game at varying numbers. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.